Hello everybody, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are watching from in the world. Welcome to Formula Racing League TV. My name is Gogs Brown. I'll be in the commentary box this evening to bring to you this sim racing event on Assetto Corsa Competizione hosted by Formula Racing League. We are here at a very miserable looking Suzuka circuit for round 4 of season 18 of Taco Tuesday, and once again we are swapping it up with all the classes. We're here with the silver tier, the secondary tier in Formula Racing League, but don't be fooled. Last time we watched them at Laguna Seca, we had some tremendous action, some of the best racing you'll see on console, and definitely some of the most exciting. And we have got a pressure cooker of a situation lined up tonight. We've got drivers less than a tenth of a second for the fastest dry time so far, but as you can see, the circuit is no longer dry. We've got some light rain just drizzling onto the tarmac, making the surface a little bit greasy, as they say. So challenging conditions for the drivers tonight, challenging conditions for the commentators to keep up with everything that's going on. Don't go anywhere. We're in the final moments of free practice, but this is going to be sim racing at its very best. So very special edition this evening as well. Round 4, of course, as you can see on the right hand side, is a 90-minute special at the Suzuka circuit. Right now we're in the dying embers of free practice. We'll then jump into a 15-minute qualifying session to decide the grid for the race, and the race will be 90 minutes long. During that race we expect that, well, we know the drivers will have to take 2 mandatory pit stops. In each of those pit stops they will have to take on at least 1 litre of fuel. When they do those pit stops is entirely up to them. However, for those pit stops to count, it must be done out with the first 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes. So anywhere in the middle 80 minutes of this next hour and a half to 2 hours of high octane action. We're here, as we said, at the Suzuka circuit, one of the most legendary circuits you'll see in racing. Most famous, of course, in Formula 1 and for being a figure of 8 layout, as we see Michael van der Waal about to come round 130R. Amazing corner in the dry. It's about 145 miles per hour in these conditions, maybe a little bit less. The tyres maybe not quite gripping up as they should with that greasy surface, as Van der Waal has decided he has done enough for this evening, enough practice, and we'll jump into the pits. So we will do the next best thing, and I think we will pick up Mikhail Chumakov's in the number 18 Lamborghini as he comes round the casino triangle with that famous Ferris wheel in the background. And I think he's going to go on to start a lap, at least for the meantime, so we'll jump on board and have a look at this circuit. Downhill start, finish straight, car coming out the pits ahead. Turn 1 is dangerously and stupidly quick right-hander, brake about 50 metres out, but a little bit more in these conditions. Feather the brakes down, look for a late apex into turn 2 to maximise your speed on this short straight. The Chumakov lights the rear tyres up. Now into the S's. Highway technical session. Slowly come down the gears and the speed. Late apexes throughout. Get the car turned in early for this right-hander. Keep it there. It does tighten as you go round, but keep it to the right because Dunlop curve. Long left-hander, so treacherous if you put the right-hand wheels on the grass on the outside, but Chumakov has none of that. Now into diagonal 1 and 2. Clip the inside curb, run all the way wide, brake in a straight line, get it turned in again and get the right foot down. Careful, the car can oversteer on exit. Now into one of the potential overtaking opportunities this evening, the hairpin. Very tricky, of course. You need to watch that little kink in the braking zone. Can cause chaos if you're not careful. Now this is a long right-hander, but it really is an acceleration zone, but as the track gets more and more wet, that might change. Now into Spoon Curve, it's a double apex left-hander. Get it turned in early. Chumakov runs wide, unfortunately, on this occasion. And then line up the second part of Spoon with a late apex. You can run out on the curb, even in the wet. Now the West Circuit start-finish straight, this is not one we'll be using this evening. Up to the most infamous corner on the track, the 130R. You can see he's cautious on throttle, and again the greasiness of the circuit just understeering him out wide. And again now the second main overtaking opportunity into the Casino Triangle. Be careful with the track limits there. We've seen a couple of drive-throughs, Josh Clayton being one of them on Sunday, who was hit with that drive-through, so we need to be careful going over the Casino Triangle, and that is a lap off the Suzuka circuit. We have 1 minute 39 to go. Right now it is indeed Johnny Sharp who is leading the pack, with Michael van der Waal in second, and Reinhard Serpentine with a fantastic lap there up in P3. Is it now his time to shine, for his season to finally come good? We've seen Aruda as well this season being a fantastic competitor at Laguna Seca. He was very dominant, led from flag to flag. But just behind him we had Manavola, Gerbino and Glinken all battling for the podium spots, and they were a lot closer. Lee Colpitts as well was fantastic last time out, as was Michael van der Waal. Both of them running into bad luck. We expect to see them up the top end of the field on Sunday in FRL's Super Sprint Sunday. Chumakov's, Sharp, van der Waal, Gerbino, check myself, all got some laps under their belt around here. But magically and almost mysteriously it did stay dry. We were expecting conditions a lot like this, but the rain never came, and that resulted in a dry, fantastic race for all to see live, also on FRL Race Hub on YouTube, like we are this evening. So let's have a quick look then at the current Silver Championship. The season now began to take shape. We're halfway through the season. FRL's Taco Tuesday sim racing at its very best, as Aruda, who's currently sitting P4, and that is the checkered flag now dropped for the end of free practice. Keller is going to be the last driver over the line in that fantastically striking looking Lamborghini. Let's look at the current championship standings. In the silver tier, it is indeed Johnny Sharp who leads on 78 points. It's not a strong lead, however, because Serafino Gerbino is tucked right in behind him, 1 point behind on 77. Michael van der Waal down there on 72. He has the pace, just needs to tie up the consistency. Then we've got this man, Christian Keller, this also on 72 points, as he is done for this evening. We've got one more car left on track. We'll try and jump onto them as they go round. It is indeed the current fastest man, Johnny Sharp. We have Ivan Glinken in P5, Jake Hanley in P6, both on 71 points. So it's very tight up the top there. Scott Dunn at 68 points. Marco Lino in 8th on 67. Simcox and Serpentine also all on 67 points. So these guys are only 11 points behind the leader. 11 points separate the top 10. Nothing is over yet. We're only halfway through the season. It's going to be Chumakov's who gets us out first, and I think the drivers have just realised it's going to get wetter and wetter the longer they leave it, so they need to get out there now. We're going to get a mad rush here at the start of qualifying for round 4 Taco Tuesday. As I continue to go through the championship order, Rafael Aruda, who won Laguna Seca but unfortunately has not finished well the rest of the season, 66 points, with David De Jong tied with him as well. Sanka Richards 13th, Kotov 14th, McConnell 15th, Gearman 16th, Muller 17th, Van der Sloot 18th, Kumakalakis in P19, Dimitriev in 20th. Gerrit Smets 21st, Simeon Pignatelli 22nd, Chumakov's 23rd, but Chekmasov 24th. We've seen them separated by less than a tenth of a second at Laguna Seca. It really was something to behold. Some drivers still sitting in the pit lane, not too sure, maybe some quali bans this evening. We'll have a little look at that in a second. Nicky Wheat's 25th, Matteo De Angelis with chalking up 2 DNFs and a race win this season. So if you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby reincarnated. Kyle Hasgo in 27th, Lorenzo Manavola 28th, again 2 DNFs to his name this season. Alexander Kalugin's back on the grid tonight. Jack Doran in 30th, Horvath 31st, Locking 32nd. And that is the order of the championship just now. So qualifying, we can see, is extremely busy. We've got cars out there battling all over the circuit for track position. It's wet. It's only going to get wetter. Things cannot get better. As Gerrit Smets, I have to say, probably the best looking livery I've ever seen on a Mercedes. Very similar to my own one, actually. That sort of matte grey and a luminous yellow. He's got blue, I've got purple. So some drivers are coming round the final corners rather, off the lap. 2 very similar looking Mercedes there. Nicky Wheats and Gerrit Smets in the very similar looking cars. But it is going to be, we've already watched Chekmasov across the line, so we're going to jump on board with Pignatelli for his first lap of Suzuka qualifying. So it does look a little bit wetter than it was for the end of practice. Drivers obviously now on the wet setup, the wet tyres on their cars, give them a bit more stability through any standing water. They come across 2 cars up ahead, battling. They need to be very careful. Not enough space maybe being left from the McLaren to the Bentley and just in front here, but as they come up to the Dunlop curve, Pignatelli is very conservative, potentially just putting a banker lap in, at least for the meantime. Now keep an eye, everyone, on the left hand side of your screen. You have got the driver order on the left. The driver's best times will appear there on the left hand side, and for the next 5 minutes at least, as the Bentley moves out of the way for Pignatelli in the BMW, we'll see that driver tracker on the left hand side with names jumping all over the place. At least for the next 5 minutes we can see a slight dry line appearing as Pignatelli rounds the hairpin very well. Again, this long acceleration zone, is it still flat out? You're damn right it is. He does not flinch. Pignatelli laughs in the face of low adhesion round there and then round Spoon Corner. A little bit of understeer creeping in, but that's always better than the back end spinning you straight into the wall on the left hand side. Under the Panasonic barrier we go up to 130R. He'll bring the car over to the right hand side, and again let's see what he does here. He's a little bit concerned. Oh, he's right on the cusp, pushing everything to the limit. Does he get a slow down for the hairpin? He does. He gets it within track limits. Arruda's went round in a 218 already. Keep an eye on the left hand side as Chekmasov has smashed it with a 208. What can Pignatelli do as he comes across the line? He's been followed. He's got Glinken in tow, who takes advantage of that tow actually. And now we've got Manavola. And all these drivers now crossing the line. Keller's going to come out here. We've seen Keller competing at the sharp end of the championship. Manavola, Chekmasov and Sharp just now. The circuit has gone slightly drier. We've seen that dry line appear. Keller goes P5. McConnell's just ahead of him, not set a valid lap time just now. Dmitriev running wide there on the exit of Degner too. As we're watching Handley struggle with his McLaren. He's not got a lap time in. He needs to get a lap time. He needs to log his championship to get it back on track. This is David De Jong. Here he comes up to Spoon Curve. Again, we'll keep an eye on the top end of the leaderboard. Again, we've got Manavola, Chekmasov, Sharp, Serpentine, Keller, Haskell, Gerbino, Glinken, Smets, Kalugan, Pignatelli, Kotov, Aruda, all set valid lap times. Bit of a gap now to the next car to come round. It is going to be Aruda. There he is in the Aston Martin. Has he went invalid? It looks like he's kept it just within the track limits. Into the hard braking zone of Casino Triangle he goes. Right foot to the floor. Keep the traction. The back end just wants to squiggle out of his control. But he's going to put his foot down and come across the line. What can Aruda do? He goes first by less than a tenth of a second. Fantastic lap from Aruda. De Jong comes round and again he's within a second. He's up to P9 for De Jong. I'll check myself again in the Audi. The rain, of course, the great equaliser for everyone. But what can Check Myself do in the Audi? Oh, it sets the exact same time as Manavola. Manavola second or just ahead because he set it first. I don't know if that is the rule indeed in Assetto Corsa Competizione, but it's the rule we're going with because it seems to work just now. But Manavola has completely smashed that out of the park and put himself 6/10 of a second. The track definitely getting drier. The rain is going to come though. It's going to get slightly heavier as the qualifying session goes round. That is Wheats ran wide on turn 1. Another lap gone for Nicky Wheats. Here's Richards in the Rao Motorsport BMW, the 195 car. Here he comes now to set his most recent lap time. What can Richards do? Has he kept it valid? He has. He goes up to P11. So big gap in the field there. Everyone sort of chumped all together in the first sector. But here comes Chumakovs in the Lamborghini. What can he do? Takes the Max Verstappen line close to the pit wall. He does set a lap time. It's 11 seconds off the pace. Maybe a sighter. Make sure he gets a lap in. The conditions, of course, are indeed treacherous. So he'll be looking just to make sure he does indeed get a time on the board. So here's Aruda then. What can Aruda do? You see him working the steering wheel on the left hand side. We're in the passenger seat of the Aston Martin as he comes across the line. 206, 207. He's pole by half a second. Absolutely obliterates that lap time. So that now puts the ball firmly in Manavola's court. And he's got Glinken just ahead. He's ran wide. Has he kept it valid? Check Myself's just ahead, who is running incredibly well just now. Here he comes up to the line. What does the stopwatch say? It says no improvement. Lino with an incredible time up into P3. Now Giubino is a driver who will not be best pleased. He was quick in Super Sprint Sunday, but he's went wide again. The rains came on a little bit heavier, maybe causing some mistakes for the drivers. The Serpentine now pulls over to the inside. Is he going to maybe go for one last shot? I'm sure we'll find out all in due course. But Aruda with a 207.5. Manavola half a second off of that. He's not able to match that. Yellow flags out at turn 1. And Dunlop curve. That's for Check Myself threw himself into the pits. At least just now. So here comes Simcox across the line. Can he improve? He does improve. He finds half a second. It's only good enough for 2 places up the order, up into P17. Chumakovs now improves in his Lamborghini, goes to P17, just pipping Simcox at the death there. So Aruda comes round the Casino Triangle now. What can he do? Can he improve on that already blistering pace? As he goes over the grid slots now, downhill grid of course. Aruda doesn't improve, so maybe that's a sign that is the track no longer It's wet, back to wet again. If you look at the top right of the screen, it tells us the track conditions. It flicked over to damp as the drivers kicked up some of the standing water, but it's now went back to a wet condition, meaning it's not going to give the same amount of grip, the same amount of adhesion. The drivers will be spinning the wheels more, working harder, and that of course leads to a loss in lap time. And the drivers really need to do something to get a time on the board. Nicky Wheats, Craig McConnell, Roy van der Sloot, Antonis Kourmakalakis and Stefan Lucking not yet set a lap, and Nicky Wheats still not set a valid lap time. The Sloot comes out of the pit lane now. He's got 3 minutes left and traffic coming down here. So easy of course to get caught on the apex. He's going to have to almost come to a stop. Oh no, 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 no! Well, he won't be best pleased, but he's got around relatively okay. Been there, bro. What a time from Dunn in the Aston Martin. He's put himself right up there in the mixer, up into P4. And I don't think the track's going to get any better, so we might not see another time. We've seen Dunn, of course, very quick last time out. Don't think that was the same Dunn. It can't be, because it was a different tier last week. Yellow flags out of turn 1, car 18. Car 18 off circuit at turn 1. That will be the end of their qualifying. Car 18 is Chumakov's. He'll start no higher than position 18 this evening. Bear with me, I seem to have lost my keyboard controls, so we'll just get those back so I can have a look at the cameras a lot quicker. There we go. Aruda then in the pits. He's done for this evening. Manavola is still out on circuit, as is Johnny Sharp. I think we've got Dunn out there as well. Dunn and Sharp running line astern. Lino's done. Serpentine's still out there. He's on his last lap. I think some drivers will get 1 or 2 more laps this evening, but Dunn's coming across the line, as is Sharp. No, Dunn does improve, but not enough to move up a position. So Dunn is on the move. Sharp's pulled over to the side. He's done for this evening. Richards just creeps in to the top 10. Now keep an eye again on the left hand side of your screen. Any late changes. Indeed, we'll see. Kalugan now comes across the line. He's got Simcox just behind with Gerbino. Not a good qualifying for the Italian. He's not able to improve either. He's got maybe one more shot. We'll see how he gets on. Car 179 are coming round that. Van der Sloot's not setting a time. McConnell and Kourmakalakis. Lucking is not set a time either. Lucking looking to start from the back. So here comes Kourmakalakis in the Porsche. He's not able to find any more positions. Check myself. Does find time. Incredible lap in the most challenging conditions of qualifying. 7 seconds remaining, so he'll be last across the line. Manavola, his final attempt. Can he find the time he needs? No, he can't. So Aruda is temporarily at least in pole position. But can Serpentine do anything about it? In the dying embers of qualifying, he cannot. Nicky Wheats is now pulled over at the side of the circuit. Who have we got left on the track who can do anything? It looks like the pole position at the front of the circuit has been wrapped up. Who is still out there? Driver trackers telling us everyone's on track. They're definitely not on track. Kotov's still out there in the BMW. That big cumbersome BMW cannot be an easy thing to drive in these conditions. He finds 2 seconds, but it's not enough to move up a position. Hasgo is almost dragging a car behind him along. He again also takes the Max Verstappen line. That is the Real Motorsport of Richards. Can Hasgo improve? He goes right up to the wall. He can't improve. Richards does improve up to P8. He's just pipped Serpentine at the end there. He's just got around Serpentine. The car number 25, that is Simcox. He's still going round as well. He approaches the line in his trademark red and white Ferrari. He's the last across the line, and he's P18. What a frantic qualifying session. There is still some drivers out there. Why are the... So maybe he's not last across the line. There's still drivers out there. The session timer has come to an end. So what's happened there then? Anyway, Handley's going to come across the line. We can see that's not counted, so that must be the end of qualifying. As Handley just tests the barrier out there. Good job. Good to see they are indeed working very well as Handley goes a little bit of wall riding. David De Jong's also still out there just now in his very easily recognisable navy and red Ferrari. Comes into the pit lane, a bit of a practice pit stop. As we said, they will be doing 2 of those this evening. As this is a very tricky pit lane actually, that 50 kilometers per hour pit lane speed limit line comes up very quickly and it is blind as you enter the pit lane. We might see a couple of drive-through penalties or 30-second stop-go penalties for speeding in the pit lane. Track limits as well is an issue around Suzuka circuit. The exit of turn 1 and 2. The Degner 1 and 2 is also very notorious for catching people out with track limits. Spoon Curve has a lot between the 2 apexes, a lot of runoff that the drivers can take, and the exit of 130R. So track limits, a potential issue tonight as well. So let's just recap then qualifying at the end of that frantic session. Aruda goes into first place, half a second ahead of anyone else. Great lap indeed. Manavola in P2 with Sharp in third place, very close between second, third and fourth. Chekmasov with an absolute blinder in the Audi. Nobody's put an Audi in the top 10 in must be about 6 months, so fantastic performance from him. Dunn puts himself in 5th, Gearman 6th, Lino 7th, Richards 8th, Serpentine 9th, Wheats 10th, Glinken 11th. I know we can hear excitement in my voice, I'm going to get to that in a second. Hanley's in 12th, Kalugan 13th, Keller 14th, De Jong in P15, Haskell 16th, Gerbino in 17th, Simcox 18th, Smets 19th, Chumakov's in P20, Dimitriev 21st, Pignatelli 22nd, Michael van der Wall all the way down there in P23, Alex Kotov in 24th, Van der Sloot 25th, McConnell struggled in that session 26th. Somebody's just left the server. Did not catch who it was. Somebody has just left the server. McConnell 25th, Kumakalakis 26th, Lucking 27th, Van der Wal. It was Van der Wal. Van der Wal's lost his position. He's having connection issues this evening. No, he'll be absolutely heartbroken with that one. So the reason I'm so excited, as you can hear in my voice, is if you look to your top middle of the screen, just above the red lights on the gantry ahead of the start finish straight, you'll see the upcoming weather conditions, and you can see that rain, that very light drizzle is scheduled to stop at some point between the next 10 and 30 minutes. So the rain's going to get slightly heavier and then go off. We're going to potentially work our way into a dry race, and then what happens with the pit stops. So the pit stops in this race, we're going to have 2 mandatory trips for every driver into the pit lane. they have to take on fuel at least twice. They can take on 1 litre, they can fill the tank up. It's up to them what they do with that stop. They can also choose to change tyres, which I imagine we're going to see some frantic tyre and strategy changes in the next 55 seconds as the drivers try and fix all that in the in-game menus. But we're going to see a mad dash into the pits at some point in the first half hour. That I'm pretty sure of. And then it's a case of what happens for the next hour of the race. Of course, the forecast only goes half an hour into the future, and that's going to create an air of uncertainty for a lot of these pilots tonight. The track is currently greasy. That does lean towards the dry tyre, but if you go out that dry tyre and rip it to shreds, it's not going to be very good once it does dry up. We've got 20 seconds left for the drivers before Aruda gets us underway. I'm going to go for a quick comfort break, pick us up during the formation lap. Do not go anywhere. We'll leave the stream running and I will be right back. Hold on tight, do not go anywhere. This is going to be a great one. Hello everyone, thank you very much for your patience there. Quick comfort break, we're in for a long one, the 90-minute Taco Tuesday special. It's round 4 if you're just joining us at Suzuka Circuit. Legendary figure of 8 layout, legendary circuit, legendary corners. I'm going to stop using the word legendary and I'm going to pick up my thesaurus. Now looking at the driver tracker order, Sharp shown in P first, but it is P1. It's going to be Aruda who gets us underway with Sharp alongside. I'm sure it's Manavolo actually alongside. Check myself running on the grass. Now that is a technique you use to keep the tyres cool. Hinting he's maybe gone for some wets to start us off. He's hoping to get the jump. And this is the conflicting strategy we were so excited about earlier on. Some drivers might go for the wets here. They're going to light up very quickly. And that will give them the extra jump, the grip, the extra speed to get us around a short jump here. But they're going to go off so quickly, and then it's a case of when do you change tyres? How long do you leave it for the circuit to dry out? That is going to be the tale of the first act of this race. Do not go anywhere. Get yourself in a comfortable position. Make sure you've got a drink at your side. You've got your snacks ready, because we are in for a absolute slobber knocker of a race. Aruda is going to lead us away. Manavola is going to be alongside him. Row 2, we're going to see Johnny Sharp and Nikita Checkmasov in the Audi. Row 3, Dunn and Richard Gearman Lino and Richards and Serpentine and Wheat are going to be the top 10. They come round the casino triangle now. The drivers will get that nervous tingling in their bellies, deep within their soul, as they get ready, calm their nerves, steel themselves for 90 minutes of Suzuka Round 4. Taco Tuesday Season 18 Formula Racing League. Sim racing at its very best, as we now await those green lights.
Green light, go, go, go.
We've got a drive-through penalty for De Jong for speeding at the start, but we are underway. Aruda and Manavola neck and neck into turn 1. But it is the pole sitter who gets away just in front. Sharps just pip check myself on the inside of turn 2. Dunn's had a good start there as well. As they come round the first turn, it looks like they've got through relatively cleanly. Still side by these two pirates. There's knocking wheels, dancing on the edge of disaster, and Dunn has to dance over the curbs. He does rejoin safely just in front of Richard Gearman, and Gearman's now being held up by that. We've got a little bit of contact from Argy Bargy round the field. Number 33 is spun. Serpentine, no! Serpentine facing the wrong way on lap 1 once again. Richard side by side with Nicky Wheat's 3-pointed triangle circle. I don't know what the Mercedes nickname is, but it is Aruda who leads us underway as well. Sharp's giving Manavola all sorts of problems. Marco Lino side by side with the Audi driver now. Is he the only one taking the wets as his back end just skips a little bit round there? Coming through the hairpin now, we've got the cars at the back off the grid. Serpentine will be disappointed with how that one started out. Up at the front, we've still got this battle here. Check myself and Lino side by side, and Dunn's got a fantastic start. He's all over the rear wing as the helicopter picks them up. Check myself's decided he has had enough. Those tyres must be absolutely on fire as they come round 130R for the first time this evening. As you see them on the straight there, all battling, all locking horns, trying to find their way up through the grid. And that is McConnell and Van der Waal. They've maybe started from the pit lane, not their evening, but the race is 90 minutes long. They've got 2 stops. Manavola uses the BMW straight line speed and just gets ahead of Sharp into turn 1. Gets his P2 back. Three-way battle from Glinken there, and that is Glinken, Kalugan and Keller all battling hard for the lower reaches of the top 10. We've got some drivers who have jumped into the pit lane now. We've got the drive-through for De Jong. Chetmasov's pitted. He's obviously on the wet. It's a mistake from Chetmasov. He's cut his losses, but he's now committed to a 3-stop strategy this evening. Need to do his best to try and make that 1 minute up. Would he have lost a minute staying out for another couple of minutes? Who knows? But the pit window is not yet open, so that will not count. So we join this battle here, the battle for P3. Manavola and Sharp as they come into the hairpin. Need to be so careful into that corner. We've got a close battle going here. Side by side, 2 Lamborghinis tickling each other's wheel arches as they come round that little right hand kink. We did talk about it briefly in the pre-show. Kurmikalakis got a lovely 4-wheel drift coming round Degner 2 there. It looks fantastic from our point of view. Not great for him, I'm pretty sure. So this little battle is allowing Aruda at the front to dance away and extend his lead, stretch his legs a little bit at the front and give him that pit window, that extra gap in case he does make an error in the pits. These two are battling, and we've got a battle with Lino and Hanley just a little bit further back as well. Sharp doesn't make anything work, but they're side by side through 130R. Lino is thinking about a move down the inside of Hanley. Maybe Hanley's actually got his way back. Great start from Hanley. And car 21's got a stop go. That's Pig Natelli speeding in the pit lane as he comes out. Nearly crosses that white line. into Aruda's path, the race leader. Luckily no contact made, but this field already now beginning to spread out as they go side by side. This is Kalugan, who is on the warpath this evening. He is battling with Dunn and this little pack of 5 drivers. We've got Dunn, Kalugan, Glinken, Gerbino, and I'm pretty sure that's Keller just tucked into the back there as well. All of these guys in a position to challenge for the championship up the front. As they really are dicing out, and that's a little bit of oversteer for Glinken as the pit window opens. Race control letting all the drivers know that now is the time they can begin to think about changing those tyres. Anyone on the wets just now will be having a very hard time as Dunn runs off circuit. Kalugan has to brake early and Gerbino has to check up really early as well, but now we've got a move. Gerbino's on the inside. He backs out of it, thinks better off it, but they're still side by side into the hairpin, and Kalugan gets a great drive. That Porsche's big rear wing planting those rear tyres onto the ground, but Gerbino's got the inside line going through the right hand, and there's contact. Gerbino clips Kalugan, sends Kalugan over the grass now. Kalugan needs to be extremely careful on his rejoin. He joins across the front of the path. Oh no! He definitely didn't look like he was in control there, but he's sent Simcox facing the wrong way at Spoon Curve. And it's an absolute heartbreak for Simcox as he plays Beyblade on the exit off that curve. Now Kalugan will not be happy with that. Gerbino made the contact on the way in, sent Kalugan over the grass, bouncing and maybe a little bit out of control, but Gerbino's continued his challenge through up to take his way into the top 5. Dunn must be out on the wets. Dunn is going to throw those wets into the bin. Can he get slowed down for the pit lane speed limiter? We said it would be a challenge for these drivers this evening. No one else seems to be following him in just now. Yes, there is. There's 2 BMWs and there's contact in the pit lane. Kotov hitting the back of Richards. Now that will not be very well looked upon by the stewards. Simcox dives into the pits as well, very likely to repair that damage from the contact. Smet has got himself a drive through. Pignatelli with the stop go. I think I can finally have 1 or 2 breathing opportunities to catch my breath, as the first 7 or 8 minutes of this race has been exactly what we predicted. Incredible action all through the field. Now just looking through the field actually, Sharp shown in P2. What's happened at the front? Manavola shows down there. Serpentine now up into P9. We've seen him facing the wrong way earlier on, so there's been pit stops, there's been cars making mistakes. Lino's been in the pits. We can calm down. Lino has been in the pits, so Lino is the leader of any driver who has made that early pit stop. And I can take some time to relax and watch Kalugan now dance over the rear of Serpentine. Rain still falling ever so lightly. It is going to dry up in the next couple of minutes. The track will be getting drier and drier. It'll be bringing the warm tyres into position, but Stefan Lucking, who started at the back, up into P7. We missed his charge through the field, but that's absolutely incredible from that BMW, that glacier white BMW. Thinks about a move down the inside, throws it down there, and Glinken has to get out of the throttle. You might think potentially an issue, but he is jumping into the pits, so he's going to slow himself down, but Lucking is going to lead Chumakovs and Serpentine across the start-finish straight. Kalugan's going to pick up a slipstream as well. Can Serpentine nudge ahead into turn 1? Chumakovs is going to hang it round the outside in the Lamborghini. The Ferrari down the inside. Space left. Great battling the 2 Italian giants. The Prancing Horse and the Raging Bull side by side through turn 2. Keeping it clean, of course. And that's why we call it sim racing at its very best. But these 3 put in an absolute performance this evening, and I'm sure will be entertained right through to the checkered flag. In the passenger seat now of Kalugan's Porsche. I think this is only lap 5. Aruda with the fastest lap of the race in first. Sharp running P2, 6 seconds off the pace. Hanley a couple of seconds behind that as well. Gerbino, Keller, Lucking, Serpentine, Chumakov's, the car we're watching just now, Kalugan, and Haskell round out the top 10. That Porsche sounds absolutely fantastic, but what I want to know is who put the Teletubbies Hoover in his front of his car. That is a Hoover pipe blowing hot air into Kalugan's face. Not the best design, it must be said. So we picked up Kalugan. He's running just ahead of Richard Gearman after making that early stop. So here's Aruda. This is the race leader. We've got yellow flags out there. Car number 77. That's Nicky Weitz. He's been in the wall. That's at 130R. That's been a massive smash. He's going to try and recover that one to the pit lane. Now, he'd be brave to try and go all this way to the very end, but I think he's got to try, you know. I think that is his only move now to try and recover to a competitive finish. He's going to have to put the dries on if he does. He's going to have to jump into the pit lane here. He does indeed do that. He's going to have to put the dry tyres on, fuel it up, save fuel, and try and get to the end. And hope it doesn't rain again. That might bring him back into contention. So here's the battle we were watching earlier on. Stefan Lucking with probably the best start of the season. He's been chased down by Serpentine. Ferrari versus BMW, so on the way into corners you're going to see, oh, Serpentine clips the inside curb of the MotoGP chicane and nearly loses the back end around that curve that is or may not be a. That's Serpentine's internet connection. He's maybe not got the best. We can see there he's got a yellow bar. Maybe not synchronised with the server to the best he could be. He's luckily been able to continue just now. But that was scary watching that from this point of view. But he is closing the door on Lucking. He's slowly reeling him in just now. 0.8 is the gap. He does look a little bit closer than that on this occasion. The South African is not quite tucked in the back of that BMW. We are going to see the BMW, of course, use its power, stretch its legs and keep that gap. Now at 0.7 of a second, so he is a little bit closer. He is slowly moving up. As we are expecting a little bit more rain. That will be an absolute headache for some of these drivers, but we're going to get a dry spell. So now the question is, who can keep the tyres in so when the rain does come they have some grip left. It really is, this is anyone's race. This could go any way. It's so unpredictable. I know Aruda's sitting there 9 seconds ahead, but this weather conditions chopping and changing really could bring the field back together. We're watching Van der Wal right now, who started at the back of the grid. Some connection issues again for him. It's not been his luckiest season. He had some issues last time out as well. But he's up into P11. That's a good start. Chumakov's all over the back of Serpentine just now. Serpentine's just taking Lucking as well, so we've just missed that one. But we've picked up some action, and it is Chumakov's applying the pressure. Lucking looks a little bit all over the place just now. Does he think about it then inside the spoon? He doesn't. The track is getting drier and drier. Very light drizzle now on the track. But there is a dry line firmly now appeared. You can see the wipers still on. It is a very light mist in the air. Chumakov is now just falling off the back of that BMW. Maybe he's seen his opportunity come and go. We've got Van der Waal on the back of a heavily damaged Hasgo. Now Van der Waal's down the outside. Hasgo's made a little bit of an error on the second part of that chicane, and Van der Waal's drove clean around him. Maybe some of that damage potentially impacting Hasgo's ability to turn in. But Van der Waal's completed the move, it made it stick. And we can see clearly the drivers who do not drive in an in-car view as their windscreen wipers are not on. But Chumakov does not let this go. On board now with the Lamborghini. Up through the gears into Diagonal 1. Now that rain has now definitely came off. It's done. The rain has finished, at least for the next 10 to 15 minutes. It might begin to drizzle again, but anyone who started on the dry tyre is going to be in a fantastic position now. It looks like maybe the BMW of Lucking on the wet. It's hard to tell. Can we get a look maybe at his dashboard? That might let us know. Sometimes you can see it says wet on the dash, but don't see anything there at all. No, I can't tell. I know that's almost cheating to get the information, but we have to get it one way or another. The Chumakov's shown us 3/10 there. He's obviously a little bit further behind than that just now. Been an interesting season for Chumakov actually. He's been very quick in both Taco Tuesday and Super Sprint Sunday. It doesn't quite have the results to show it at this point in time. We do have another half of the season, so it's a lot to play for. It's not over yet. Chumakov is not letting this one go, but Surfing Time will be happy. He's now up into P6. And De Jong, who we've seen drive through the pit lane actually at the start of the race, with a drive-through penalty for being out of position at the start, he's now up into P12. What's happened to Manavola? He was running in P2. We don't have any information as to what actually happened, unfortunately. It looks like he's running okay, so maybe he just had an off somewhere, maybe made a mistake, or maybe there was indeed contact. We don't want to speculate, get anyone in trouble, so we won't speculate any further. So here comes David De Jong, not the best start to the race, or season, or even life at FRL. He's been very tremendously unlucky. Now, here's an interesting situation. The reigning Tier 3 AM-class champion for Taco Tuesday, Roy van der Sloot, has currently just set the fastest lap of the race. Just been taken by McConnell. McConnell, fastest man on circuit just now. He's on the back of Alex Kotov. And he is driving like a man possessed. So he's obviously now been in the pits. He's got new tyres on. He's cleared one of those two stops. And he's on the right tyre. The track gripping up. Definitely a dry track now. Oh. Server not being very kind to us this evening as the Jong has to almost duck out of that move. We've seen Haskell already have some difficulties exiting the final chicane. But on board with the Jong now in the slipstream, Ferrari versus Ferrari. And you can see the difference the slipstream makes. The car in front punching a hole through the air. De Jong goes side by side into turn one. It's a fantastic move down the inside on the brakes into one of the fastest, most treacherous corners on the circuit. David De Jong up a position, and again after his early race drive through, it's great to see him running up there in P2. So we mentioned Marco Lino, who had a fantastic start. He went for one of the drivers who took an early pit stop. He's now running up in P14 with Scott Dunn just behind him as well in the number 12 Aston Martin. Interesting situation now beginning to arise. We've got McConnell, who is the fastest driver on the circuit just now. And 2 cars behind we have the current race leader, so he will not be looking to move over. Now this is the problem he's now got. He's behind Alex Kotov, one of the few cars on the track with the straight line speed to rival that Bentley. He is that Mustang. He is flashing, he goes down the inside. There's no obligation of course for Kotov to move, but McConnell does feel he is definitely the faster driver at this time and desperately wants to get ahead, and he has made the move stick. So McConnell will now go down the field and chase after Dmitriev and hope. What's going on with the server? Some server issues this evening, some little bugs in the system. That is Wheats, who has rejoined his 2 laps down but completed all his mandatory stops, and that rain at some point in the next half hour that is forecast is going to be like nails on a chalkboard for him. Oh, he's definitely not offside. Looking like it's running at its best. But it is beginning to now stabilise, so Aruda's just got himself around Kotov, and McConnell, luckily for him, has got himself down the road. Manavola just set the fastest lap off the race now as well, and he's not been in the pits. So Manavola got some clear track. He's running in P13. Had some issues earlier on, but he's still flying very quickly. So keep an eye on Manavola and what he can do. He's in clean air. He's obviously trying to recover from his earlier on issues. But he is driving like a man possessed. He's driving angry. So here's Ricky Gearman. Ran well last season in the Pro-Am tier, promotion up to Silver Tier 2 for himself. And running in a respectable 18th just now. We've seen him of course in incidents on the first lap. But he's managed to recover quite well. He's running just behind Lincoln, who has stopped, and Van der Sloot, who has not yet stopped. Dmitriev moving down the order there. So what's happened? The Kotov maybe moving down the order. Oh no, there's contact just behind. We missed that. Richards being collected by one of the Mercedes. Manages to hold it in an epic 4-wheel drift into Diagonal 1. That was absolutely fantastic car control. Caught us all out by surprise, I am sure. Good catch. Good catch. So quick run down the order then. We've got Aruda in P1, Johnny Sharp in P2, Jake Hanley 3rd place, Gerbino 4th, Keller 5th, Reinhard Serpentine P6, Stefan Lucking 7th, Chomakov's in P8, Van der Waal 9th, De Jong 10th, Haskell 11th, Manavola 12th with the fastest lap of the race. Lino 13th, Dunn 14th. Those two are leading the leading pack of drivers who have taken a pit stop already, one of their 2 mandatory stops this evening. Van der Sloot is 15th, Glinken 16th, Gearman 17th, Kalugan in P18 currently in the pits just now. Yellow flags out for car 77. That is Nicky Wheat, who's unfortunately been off again. Oh no, he's not had the best evening as he lets his teammate through in the Mercedes, fellow Mercedes driver. It's a bad evening for Wheats. So here comes Chomakov. What's happened to Chekmasov? He was running very well earlier on. He's been in the pits. Well, he pitted early, didn't he? He had to pit again. It's not went well for Chekmasov, unfortunately. He had to get rid of those wet tyres. They were just not working for him. We've seen him driving over the grass in a desperate effort to cool them down on the formation lap. But here is Gearman. He's on the rear now of Glinken. Let's just watch and listen. These cars sound fantastic, they really do. But now we've got a slipstream effect for Gearman on Glinken, and now these drivers very similar pace. As they come through 130R into the Casino Triangle, and you really do see how tight this section is. Helicopter giving us some fantastic views of the contours of the circuit. And we can see the track is now fully dry. Even some marbles now appearing offline on the start finish straight. As he gets a little bit out of shape, as the helicopter has what's called an issue. Server's not been friendly with us this evening, so we picked up Chomakov. He's on the back of Van der Waal. He's on the back of Van der Waal. Van der Waal 7 seconds off the back of him. My apologies. Correct myself. He is on the back of Stefan Lucking. The Lucking started near the back of the grid, as did Van der Waal, so these two are coming through the field very well. Gearman is now even closer to the back of Glinken. Look at that gap coming out of the hairpin. Fantastic drive from the gold Ferrari just in front. As Gearman tries to fight away past, tries to engineer a move. As we've now completed 14 laps here at Suzuka. We've still got an hour racing to go. We are expecting another weather change. We are going to expect rain to come in at some point over the next 10 to 15 minutes. So don't go anywhere. Looks like we had some yellow flags there down at the hairpin. That's Hanley and Gerbino, and he's got Kalugan the lap down just behind. And there's Chomakovs as well on the back of Lucking. So there is battles throughout the field here. 3 very close ones indeed. Gearman not able to make any inroads on the back of his fellow Ferrari factory driver. So we jump now on board with Chomakovs. Looks like he's struggling a little bit with those tyres, but you can see the oversteer actually. Comes up to 130. You really need to get up to the apex to maximise the speed. Absolutely perfect as the car in front runs a little bit wide. And Chumakov's also kissing the grass on the exit. And the back end steps out, and Chumakov will be licking his lips at diving into the pit lane for a fresh set of tyres. Not necessarily the best opportunity to pit tyre-wise. However, with the incoming rain, but maybe he had to, maybe he ran out of fuel. We've got Luke Richings in the chat, one of the admins here at Formula Racing League. How are you doing, Luke? Thank you very much for joining us this evening. You missed a cracking first hour of racing tonight, so if you've missed us, I'll just give you a quick recap. Aruda danced away from the start, holding on to P1 with Sharp and Manavola, who's currently running 12th place, side by side. They battled for a few laps. It looked like Manavola's maybe been off circuit, down now in P11. Sharp still in second. Hanley with a fantastic start as well, up into P3. Just leading now Gerbino as well, so good drive from Jake Handley. Serpentine was facing the wrong way at one point and done fantastic to get himself back to P6. Vandal Wall and Luckine, who we've seen a minute ago as well, were facing the wrong way. Actually, they're at the back of the grid start for those two, so they've done fantastic to come through the field as well. The Audi of... Oh, dust being kicked up. The car 87 just ahead of us. Looks like no lasting impact, no yellow flags out or anything like that. The Audi driver of Chekmasov unfortunately started the race on the wet tyres. It was the wrong choice, and he had to pit on lap 1, unfortunately for him, which has pretty much ruined his chances of a competitive finish from his P4 start. The leading drivers who have pitted, Marco Lino and Scott Dunn, pitted at the first available opportunity, very likely to get rid of their wet tyres and onto the dry tyre, and then be running quickly ever since. So we need the leaders to start making stops to see where they end up. But we are expecting that rain at some point in the next 15 minutes to liven things up, and you just have to think all these drivers who have yet to pit are going to look to do so when that rain comes, whether they just take the dry tyres and do something with them in terms of the tyre pressure, or they think about the wet tyre, or maybe they play the wait and see game. And there we have it, absolutely confirmed. The rain is coming back. It's going to be a light mist, a light drizzle within the next 10 minutes, with a slightly increasing rain in the next half hour. So we are going to transition very slowly back to a wet track as Glinken runs very wide over the exit of 130R. He can't do that too many times. He will be subject to a steward's inquiry. But speaking of steward's inquiry, here comes Gerbino on the back of Jake Hanley as they approach the back marker, that Mercedes, who has had a torrid time this evening. Blue flags of course being shown. The driver getting out of the way, not interfering in this fight. As Kalugan at the back there tries to stick with it as well, manages to get through on the same straight. And this time Gerbino taking the Glinken line, trying to catch himself up to the back of the McLaren. Can't do that one too many times either, looking to take his tactical track cuts potentially. Now Kalugan's shown his 0.8, that was for position as he's just went past Smets. I thought that was for a lap car, but he's actually went round Smets there. Made the move stick. Gilman bouncing over the curbs at Degner 1. Still looking at the back of Glinken's Ferrari. Into the hairpin they go, nothing doing this time. You really need to get over that apex, hug the inside like it's your favourite granny, or you want to sweep a little bit out from the apex and use the camber. Kind of no man's land in the middle there for Gearman, and that's allowed Glinken to just stretch his legs a little bit into spoon and relax and focus on his exit again. to minimise the slipstream effect. It's not worked though. It's been a good exit as Glinken unfortunately does also go for the old four-wheel drift out of Spoon Curve. He's not able to make any inroads on this lap. Up at the front then, the battle for P3. This is, or at least P3 on the track just now. We've got Jake Hanley defending from Gerbino, and look, this is the closest they've been yet. Gerbino in the black Lamborghini, Hanley in the McLaren, the Gulf McLaren. Now Hanley's going to go to the inside. Now will he take the racing line here? Now that's going to allow Gerbino to sweep round the outside. He does back out of it. Hanley takes a lot of grass. He's able to keep it. As Kalugan now tries to get himself to unlap himself. The Lamborghini very good on the brakes. The McLaren famously sporting some aluminium bucket bin lids for brakes. And that's now opened the door now. Kalugan is a lap car. He is allowed to unlap himself and he's thinking about doing so. As Gerbino's now on the grass, he needs to be very careful. He's now lost that place to Kalugan, so Kalugan's inserted himself in that gap. He's got one lap to pull away from Gerbino, as the rulebook states anyway, to put a second between them. And with Hanley just in front, I don't know if that's something that he's going to find easy to do. But he is allowed to unlap himself. He does have that one lap to try and make that gap. So keep an eye on how he's done there. Quick update then through the field. We've got Aruda, Sharp, Hanley, Gerbino, Keller, Serpentine, Van der Waal, Haskell, Chumakovs, Manavola making up the top 10. Lino, Dunn, Lucking all pitted. Van der Sloot, Glinken pitted. Gearman, McConnell has pitted. De Jong's pitted and served the drive-through. Dmitriev 19th and Richards 20th. Kotov, Simcox, Kalugan, Chekmasov, Smets is shown in the pits, hopefully taking now his pit stop. Pignatelli and Wheats is your order just now. We are watching. Oh no, we've got Smets. Smets has got himself a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. We did mention that at the start of the show. That pit entrance is so treacherous to try and get yourself slowed down in time. It's a blind corner. This line comes up very quick. I don't think that will be the last drive-through penalty we'll see tonight, but Smets has had a very disappointing evening, much more disappointing than the Hangover 3. But he is going to have to try to recover his way back up the field some way, maybe using the rain that we are expecting to come in at some point over the next half hour and really spice this race up. So Kalugan still behind Hanley, and what, Gerbino's now got a blue Ferrari in front of him as well. Is that Keller? No, it's not Keller, so there's a blue Ferrari just in front of Gerbino. Not Lino. It's Van der Sloot. So can Van der Sloot now put that? He is, you know. He's moving away. Gerbino's falling off. Maybe the Lamborghini's tyres have decided, nope, that's enough, and he is just trying to stick it out till this rain comes down. And it is going to come down. At some point in the next half hour, we're going to see an absolute treacherous downpour. Now that will spice up the final 20 minutes of this race. We really do have a fantastic setup this evening for a blockbuster finish. Aruda, Sharp and Hanley up the front are going to be absolutely thrilled to pieces with the fact that they have 2 pit stops that they can do. They can muck around with the tyres all they want. As Van der Waal decides now, for some reason, is the time to pit. So will he go in the pits now, take some fuel, on the dry tyres where they put some pressure in them, run for 10 to 15 minutes, try his best to keep them warm on the fresh rubber, and then pit for wets. Could be a master stroke by Van der Waal in the dying minutes of the race. It really is all going to come together towards the end. Aruda has been out there driving like a man possessed in a class all on his own this evening. Showing 17 seconds on Johnny Sharp. And very quietly, over the last 20 minutes or so, Dunn has been slowly closing in on the back of Lino. He's now within a second. That's Lino just ahead of us. So this is a battle for position. These are the drivers who have pitted. The race pace might or might not be good enough to come out around about Sharp and Handley. That remains to be seen, but they are now in contention, and this is a battle for position. Seconds separate these two. Keller, Serpentine and Haskell all jumped in the pits at the same time. Keller's first to emerge onto the start-finish straight. Serpentine now moving down the pit lane as well. Now, is he going to come out in front of these two and potentially cause some fantastic action? He's not. He is going to rejoin, however, just in front of that BMW. Is that Lucking coming through the grid there? If that's Lucking in P11, it is. It's been a fantastic drive from Lucking to get himself up to there from the back of the grid. So Aruda is now taking. Aruda's taking a stop. You have to think that's been forced by fuel. Okay, so now we are talking game on as Sharp takes the lead of the race. Here, Taco Tuesday, round 4, silver tier at Suzuka. In typical Suzuka fashion, we've had a very, very mixed practice, very mixed race, as well as Richards goes round Dimitriev in the Bentley in turn 2, the Roll Motorsport car, putting a position on the gentleman racer. Aruda now rejoining. He's found himself a lovely gap to slot into. He's going to come out with some clean air behind the Audi of Chekmasov. About 10 seconds down the road, but here is the kicker, the ace in the hole. The rain is back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, guys and gals, and everyone else. The rain is back and it's here to stay. 30 minutes now at least of rain. Light drizzle just now, but it is going to come back to a proper wet situation. And that maybe is something that these drivers do want to see, or something they do not. Anyone who's looking very quick in practice, we had a wet practice of course, is going to be in a position now to look very good, as we've got Simcox on the back of Dimitriev. You see the BMW's power keeping the Ferrari at arm's length. The Ferrari not able to make any inroads and having to jump out of the slipstream just to see where the apex of 130R is. Dunn is right on the tail of Lino as the rain's coming down, mistakes being forced by some of the drivers. Car number 2 has dived into the pit lane. That is Smets, who is serving his drive-through, as he now rejoins as Dunn flies around Degner 1 and 2. He is really applying the pressure, tightening the screws to Marcolino, weaving around like a grandma at a knitting convention in his mirrors. And this is important. You have to remember, these two were in a net third and fourth place before they pitted, so this is important. And also you have to ask the question, who has put their tyres in a position best to handle these changeable conditions? Now we've officially got the rain back. The track has gone green. On the top right of your screen you see there the track condition is now green. That means that that layer of grip that the drivers had 5 minutes ago is gone. So that will generate some errors, cause some mistakes, some inconsistencies as they're out there on worn tyres. And that's going to open the door for some moves, some action all through the field.
We are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
Race control let us know we're now at the halfway point of the race. The rain was here at the start, it went away, and now it's back to stay. Simcox still on the back of Kotov as they come up to 130R. I'm keeping an eye on the battle between Lino and Dunn on the driver tracker just now. They're going through the S's still in the same order. But this is Simcox and Kotov for position into the Casino Triangle. Kotov not feeling the need to go defensive. We've got Pignatelli in the background there, being lapped, it looked like. Luckily, no major issues just now. We come back to this battle a little bit further up the grid. And to go round Degner 1 and Serpentine now being pulled along by these two. So it's been if that's Serpentine's pace, he was in with a shout of a podium later on as well. There's a mistake coming out of the hairpin by Lino. And that might open the door now for Dunn. Dmitriev is leading a pack of cars down the S's. We'll keep an eye on that too. Van der Waal on the back of Hasgo. There's so much action going on around the track. We can only bring to you one battle at a time, unfortunately. And that one seems to have faded off a little bit for Dunn. Van der Waal is right on the tail of Hasgo. And Kotov and Simcox still battling there as well. This Kalugan, he has got that Gerbino coming through the field now as well to put a lap on, coming back through the field. It's a Ferrari of some kind, but look at this gap here. There's Van der Waal tucked right under the rear wing, and he pulls out to the inside. They're going to go wheel to wheel into 130R. Van der Waal's in the centre of the track. There's slight contact. Van der Waal had the inside of the corner. It's tricky to say if one driver did have priority there or not. We'll let that one fight out in the steward's room. And De Jong nearly sneaking through there as well, and Hasco doing just enough to hold him off on this occasion. Action all through the field now. This is the part of the race that's so exciting. The track getting less and less grippy, now greasy conditions. This is the condition we had at the start of the race, and the question is now, where do the drivers try and just creep it out for another 12 minutes? If they can get through another 12 minutes, that will put them in a position to potentially end the race on a wet set of tyres, and anyone still with one stop to go is in a fantastic position. Aruda is in. Gerbino's in the pits. Gerbino's dove into the pits there, and maybe looking to get himself on to the wet tyre now. Here comes Aruda round the final turn, so he's going to take Gerbino. Probably expected that one to happen, to be honest, but Gerbino was battling with Chumakovs earlier on. Chumakov is going to dive into the pits now. He's had enough. He thinks it's time to go onto the wet tyre. Hello Jazzman in chat. Not quite sure when you joined there. All my messages have came through at once, but thank you very much for joining. as they've got a blue flag car just getting out of the way of Dunn and Lino. Lino's on the inside coming out of that final corner. They're side by side. There's contact. They somehow both keep the car pointing in the same direction. Lino struggling with understeer, clips the side of Dunn, door banging round the final corner, and Lino's on the grass on the way into turn 1. He does keep it under his control, but look at the extra grip. Dunn carries through there, the blue flag at the back, almost going straight on. Oh, it's been absolutely frantic the last 10 minutes. This is the part of the race the drivers absolutely hate. They don't know what tyre's best. Is it the dries? Is it the wets? Is it Kotov? Throwing it down the inside off the Bentley. Not on this occasion. The Bentley takes the middle of the track. He runs deep over the curb. It's a good exit by Kotov, and now we've got Handley and they're coming through to lap, flashing these lights, and now we've got a situation where Handley's trying to lap a car. We've got Luckin on the inside. Handley having to squeeze his way through, and a great move by Kotov, keeping the position there, following Handley through. Great sense of racecraft. Oh, and now that puts Kalugan back in with a chance to creep his way around the Bentley. So the two big battles we've got just now. Handley yet to stop. Sharp in the pits. Sharp's decided now is the time to come into the pits. Manavola's still out there, not yet pitted. Arruda's went through into P2. He's going round turn 2 now. So Sharp now exiting the pits. Where is he in relation to everyone else? As Manavola goes through. Now he's made the pit stop. Manavola struggling into turns 1 and 2. But luckily gets it turned in just enough as Arruda is now struggling. He's on the dry tyre, it looks like. Gap between Dunn and Lino. Now at half a second, so a little bit of breathing room for the Italian. As Handley now leads the race, 25 laps completed. He's just got through some blue flag cars. Interesting strategy here by Handley. Now can Handley get himself a little bit further into this wet conditions? Maybe make one stop onto the wets and go for a splash and dash later on at the end. He'll save himself about 25 seconds doing that if he can manage it. Handley, Manavola, Gearman, who's in the pits now as well. Only drivers remaining who can make that strategy work. Luckin's in the pits as well, so Luckin taking his final mandatory stop this evening. Dmitriev still, he's lost the position. Kalugan's got past him. Kalugan in the Porsche now up into P17. Very interesting part of the race now. So from what I gather in the weather, we're going to get a quick burst of downpour rain that's going to drift back into these conditions before the end of the race. That looks to be the current forecast we're going to have. Chekmasov is looking very close to a car. I think that's an error with the timing board. It is indeed. Chekmasov's actually many seconds behind. I think he's maybe crossed the start finish line when someone's been in the pit lane. So that makes more sense now. Handley still out there. Stamping on the brake pedal, trying his best not to lock the tyres up the back end, drifting out of that hairpin, but interestingly, and we see now this is no longer an acceleration zone. He's having to feather the throttle coming round that corner. You can see the work going into that wheel, seesawing like he's sawing some wood. He's turning corners without even turning the wheel. There's that much oversteer with that rain. But now will this be the time for Handley to jump into the pits. He's got 35 minutes remaining. He's yet to stop. He's approaching the blue flag car. We've had a change in climatic conditions. He looks like he is struggling. He's keeping it tight to the inside, and we have called it bang on the money as Handley now jumps into the pit lane. As does Kalugan and Kotov just behind. A lot of drivers now in the pits. Lino and Dunn. Dunn's still in there, so Dunn's changed. Lino leaves the pit lane very early relative to Dunn, so wonder what has happened there. Strategy at foot. Lino looking to get track position. Maybe a mistake from Dunn. Maybe Dunn repairing some damage. So the order now is going to completely shake up on the left hand side. Dunn and Lino are actually ahead of Handley. But will Handley make that one back up later on? Aruda has re-inherited the lead off the race. There was no doubt that was going to be the case with the gap he had. Keller all over the back of Van der Sloot. Keller completed all his pit stops. He is the current leader of all drivers who have completed all their mandatory stops. As Keller drifts round that kink as Van der Sloot elects to let him round through a corner. Not the safest of ways to do that. Keller dancing off down the road. He's actually in front of Lino. But will he be going to the end? That is the question. So quick announcement then from Formula Racing League while we watch Keller. This is race 4 of the season, 6 race calendar. And then we have a gap, a off season. But later on tonight, immediately following this broadcast, we are going to release 2 fantastic off season events for the drivers tonight and on Sundays to get their teeth stuck into. On Sunday the 20th of July, FRL will host a 90-minute multi-class challenge, the same race format as we're seeing tonight, but with 3 classes of car. A special event, GT4 cars versus the BMW M2 versus Porsche Cup cars, single make BMW, single make Porsche, and the GT4 class, to see what kind of action those cars can bring. Less downforce, closer racing, more intense action. That'll be Sunday the 20th of July. Then of course on the Tuesday there's a 2 race mini series. We've got Super Sprint Taco Tuesday happening this off season, starting the 22nd of July, and that will be round 1 at Silverstone. 2 races. We'll have sprint qualifying, a 20-minute race decided by the qualifying session. The sprint qualifying is a one-shot qualifying attempt, so you have one-shot qualifying, a 20-minute race, and then a 40-minute race. Now that 40-minute race will be decided, the grid will be decided by the reverse grid of race 1. Very exciting racing. It's the normal Sunday format, only it happens on a Tuesday, but with the added twist that race 2 will have a mandatory fuel stop and a maximum stint of 35 minutes. So a little bit of interesting mix arounds there for your Tuesday drivers and Sunday drivers, swapping events. And then on the 29th of July there'll be a 60-minute race at the Nürburgring, the Nordschleife circuit, with an open strategy. But right now I'm going to flip back to the action just now, because McConnell, who was facing the wrong way at the start of the race, has found himself battling Dunn for P10. Does appear to have lost out. I think he may be on those tyres for quite a long time, but it's a good recovery for McConnell to get himself back into the top 10 in that orange Mustang. So quick summary then. Sunday the 20th of July. FRL Quota Multi-Class Challenge. Tuesday 22nd of July we have Super Sprint Taco Tuesday, and then on the 29th of July FRL will have the 60 minutes of Nordschleife Challenge. Those events will go live on SimGrid later on this evening. Formula Racing League's Patreon supporters have had early access to sign up to secure their place. One of the fantastic benefits being a Patreon supporter of Formula Racing League does get you. Dunn has ran wide on turn 2. That's opened the door for McConnell to re-attack back. Now he is, I think, on all tyres. He's not able to take advantage at this time. And off he goes. Aruda's taking his second stop as we expected. Aruda very likely now on the wets. 30 minutes remain and we are guaranteed rain to the end of the race. So yeah, those events will go live on SimGrid later on. Formula Racing League's Patreon supporters have had the opportunity to secure their place, car and race number, their very own race number for those events, and they will get the first opportunity to do so when season 19 of Taco Tuesday, Super Sprint Sunday is announced. They will have first opportunity to sign up and secure their place. Patreon support does start at £3 per month plus tax for anyone wishing to support the league. So if you have enjoyed this stream, or if you're one of the drivers who will be inevitably watching it back, please do consider Formula Racing League will broadcast your very own live stream to all of its Discord members. Everyone will be notified. It will be posted on there automatically. You'll get your early access entry to all events to secure your place. You get reserve priority lineup. So if you are reserved for these championships, all Patreons will get support, will get priority to sign up as well. So it is worth your time if you are a member of the league, and you also now get your very own Patreon practice server, which goes live a couple of days before practice, setting your car up for events such as this, which would have been key tonight, of course, with these changeable conditions, to experience those conditions 3 or 4 days before anyone else who is not a Patreon member. That's from £3 a month. Do consider it, guys. It does help keep the league running. It's non-for-profit. The servers cost money, broadcasts cost money. There's other utilities associated with sim racing, such as involved with SimGrid. So, I mean, loads of other things it goes towards as well. Maintaining Discord. There's honestly so much that goes on in the background, guys. That tiny little amount that you would normally pay for an overpriced coffee from a North American retailer. Do consider one morning making yourself an instant cup instead and supporting sim racing at its very best, where we all do our best to make everyone here feel invincible, like we're seeing from Mr. McConnell. Started at the back of the grid, facing the wrong way at one point on lap 1, now up into P11. Fantastic drive from him. He really has shown skill this evening, and we hope to see him up in this part of the grid most races. So here's a situation unfolding. We've got a very, very, very skittish looking Lamborghini there. Now, is that Gerbino? It is. Gerbino's struggling out there. He's in P3 just now. Sharp still leading. We've got Hanley P2, and then Gerbino. Aruda has completed his stops. He is currently in P4. He's more than secured the fastest lap for this evening. So if he can win, he will score maximum points for round 4. And just behind Gerbino, we've got two cars who are a lap or 2 down. We've got Kotov and Dmitriev battling for P18. And that very strange engine note coming from Gerbino's Lamborghini has been affectionately nicknamed it Last Time Out. And he, of course, the Lamborghini not known for its straight line speed, and he's got two absolute monsters behind him. So maybe that's why he's struggling a little bit coming down the straights, but the Lamborghini very, very good in high downforce conditions. As you can see, he gets a good drive out the corner. And now the BMW throws a lasso round his rear wing and pulls himself towards the back of the Lamborghini. Again, the downforce. Look at the difference in grip. So yeah, that's all that is. Just two very different cars, fundamentally designed completely different. Strengths and weaknesses at different parts of the circuit. Speaking of strengths and weaknesses, Dunn has made use of those fresher tyres and finally pulled out of McConnell's grasp. Only 5 drivers left to make their final pit stop this evening. Sharp, Handley, Gerbino, Chomakovs and Gearman. So Sharp doing a fantastic job this evening. He's running those tyres into the ground, and that rain really coming down now. Battering off the windscreen, that circuit is going to get very wet. This is now the challenging moment for the drivers, and it is going to dry out ever so slightly towards the dying embers of the race. We've still got that slightly drier line, but you can see offline, look how much standing water is there. Even in the simulation you can see the difference in the wetness of various parts of the track, and those curbs as well, and the white lines on the exit, the painted white lines on the edges of the track, and the curbs will retain so much more water. They'll be treacherous. The drivers will now begin to avoid those parts of the circuit. So Gerbino has definitely slowed down in terms of his outright speed. Trying to work out the gap here we've got there. So Sharp is at Casino Triangle, crossing that line now. And I'm going to stop the start watch. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my watch to time this gap to see how we're doing in terms of gap. So that'll be the best way to do it, I think. So here we go. Sharp, we'll find him a sector point at some point and we'll time him with Aruda. As we see Handley now struggling as well into turn 1. Gerbino still got that treacherous Lamborghini. It's not going well for him in this phase of the race. We've got the BMW now closing on him. Look at that. Pulls to the inside. He's surely not thinking about unlapping himself. He is. He goes down the inside. He's trying to unlap himself. He's made contact with a car and he's trying to get round. That's maybe not the best way to do it. But maybe he feels he had no choice. He's got the Bentley behind. I mean, again, he is allowed to unlap himself. That is an opportunity that does befold him. And he gets a lap to pull away, as Kalugin did before him, and we've seen Kalugin made good use of that. He's now up into P15. The jaw looks like he's on the back of Van der Waal now. So Van der Waal again we've seen start at the back of the grid this evening, and now up into P13. That's a good drive through the field from Van der Waal. 22 minutes remain, he can still make those moves, and the rain absolutely hammering it down now. So we're watching the leader just now. This is Sharp, and you can see the rain bouncing off the windscreen. Luckily we still got 20 odd cars lapping round here at pace. That's going to kick up some off that standing water, but this is going to be the wettest we've seen the track since the broadcast went live. So we'll use that line then. We see Sharp go past very shortly. I'm going to stop the start watch just now. He's across the line and I've started the timer, and we'll see just exactly what that gap to Aruda is, and to see if Sharp might put himself in with a chance with a brilliant strategic pit stop at the end of the race. We do have to consider the pit window, of course. That pit stop must be done, no pun intended, if Scott Dunn. But oh, yellow flags out. We've got yellow flags. Car number 21, car 21 at the S's, that's Pignatelli. He's facing the wrong way. Needs to be careful on his rejoin. He's got a pack of cars coming round now. He'll need to wait before he's able to rejoin the circuit. But having a quick look at the gap between Sharp and Aruda, across the line now. That is a 46-second gap. So that is enough time for Sharp to jump in the pits, make a quick splash and dash, and get himself out ahead. Handley might be in with a chance of doing that as well. So strategy calls coming into play here in the final 20 minutes of Taco Tuesday round 4, the Suzuka 90-minute special event. Right now we've picked up David De Jong in the shocking spray. Look at how much water's on his windshield. Here he's struggling to see just now behind that spray off De Jong. You can see they really are feathering the throttle, and the track is going to dry up in the next half hour. However, only 20 minutes of the race remain. Will it be enough? And there's been contact. Simcox and Dmitriev off track at Degner 1 and 2 as they both rejoin now. Chekmasov is going to potentially inherit that position. Simcox again involved in an incident. Don't know what's happened. It could have been they're coming together. They both could have just coincidentally went off circuit at the same time, at the same part of the track. The conditions are horrendous. So that is obviously a possibility, as well as Chekmasov shows his nose into the inside of Spoon, but nothing doing on this occasion. McConnell is now under pressure from Gearman, who's got one more stop to do. Again, we could see that splash and dash. Maybe not the best strategy, of course, this evening. I did think that early stop from Aruda was a little bit risky. He's put himself in a position where he might have to make some overtakes on the track if he wants to keep that win. So Aruda, again, we'll try and get another timer done, actually, see if the gap's changed. It was 49 seconds earlier on. 46 seconds, oh, my apologies. So we'll get another timer going now. He's crossed that little line at the MotoGP circuit, so now we'll follow Aruda and see if that gap's dropped from 46 seconds. He is quite a bit further back, and he's got a blue flag car, some lapping traffic to get around. De Jong, Van der Waal, Gearman and McConnell. 4 cars line their stern in the horrendous spray. Look at that. We'll quick jump back to that very shortly as Aruda joins that blue flagged traffic. As he gets around on the inside, just squeezes his way through, crosses that line now, and the gap's still 46 seconds. Sharp and Aruda lapping at very similar speeds. So here we go, here comes Gearman on McConnell into turn 1. McConnell defends the inside, he's run wide, he's went deep into turn 2. That's going to open the door potentially for Van der Waal, who's going to get a much better exit out of the corner, get the traction down, but now we're into the technical essays section. And of course Van der Waal needs to be careful. He's got Davy De Jong on his rear end, under his rear bumper, looking to make moves. So here's Gerbino, he's still got that BMW now. Because they were close, weren't they? The Bentley and Gerbino were close as well. Gerbino moves way off line. What is going on there? Looking to get some... Oh, he's on wet tyres. Maybe his tyres are a little bit warm. Looking to cool them down already. That's not a good sign for Gerbino's Lamborghini. So Gearman's got himself past McConnell. And McConnell ran right there. Van der Waal clips the back of McConnell. Spins McConnell round. That is absolutely reminiscent of Ayrton Senna at Monaco in 1988, if Senna was much worse at driving. Contact there from McConnell, knocking him down the field. He's about to be lapped by Jake Handley, who goes round the inside, and McConnell will be seething under that car. That's put Van der Waal behind the journal. It looks like Van der Waal's actually slowing down. Maybe he's got the stream on in the background and heard me call him a bad Senna. We'll see how that one goes down later on. Obviously just joking, a little bit of banter, but Larry will absolutely be distraught with that one. It looks like he is being a gentleman, of course, and waiting for McConnell. He's trying his best to right his wrong. McConnell, it'll go some way towards McConnell feeling a little bit better. There he is, absolute gentleman. Michael van der Waal, doing his best to right the wrong. Great stuff to see, and that is exactly why FRL is sim racing at its very best. Thank you and well done to Michael van der Waal there. An excellent piece of sportsmanship, and that's what we love to see. So then we enter the final 15 minutes of this special event, this 90-minute special Taco Tuesday. We have got Johnny Sharp leading Jake Handley by about 15, gaps down to 10. So Sharp now approaching some lapping traffic. He's got De Jong and Gearman, I think, on the same strategy as Sharp. Last check, Sharp had about 46 seconds gap to Arruda. So Sharp, Hanley and Gerbino 1, 2 and 3 still to pit. One more pit stop to make. Arruda has completed the necessary mandatory stops. And last check, there was a 46-second gap between Sharp and Arruda. We'll review that in due course and see if that's the case, because Sharp is in the position to make a quick splash and dash at the end of the race and maybe, just maybe, get himself out in front of Arruda. How late will he leave it? He's got 7 minutes remaining. As I'm going to start the stopwatch now to check on that gap. It's not going to be now, it's going to be in a couple of corners time. So that is the story of the race. Can Sharp and potentially Handley do their pit stops and come out in front of Arruda? A little bit further back, Van der Waal and I think it was Lucking who's no longer in the server. Lucking's been disconnected. Oh, he'll be so disappointed. So Van der Waal started back off the grid, now running P14. He was up into P12 earlier on, but after a bump with McConnell, slowed down to allow McConnell through. Kalugan as well was looking a little bit off the pace earlier on, now up into P15. Good recovery drives from them. Serpentine after his best race of the season so far in terms of position. He's had the bad luck all season, as now he's finally came good up in the top 10 as well. So here's Sharp then coming out of the pit lane, and once again I will stop the start watch and timer has begun. So we'll have about 40 seconds back to Arruda. Last time it was 46 seconds. Arruda is only now 1.3 behind the slow moving Gerbino. Here he comes. And again we've still got that torrential spray. The rain's still coming down, not showing any signs of relenting. Blue flags up ahead. That is, I think, The same BMW that's plagued Giovinazzo pretty much the entire second stint. Giovinazzo, of course, still to pit as well. Really are struggling around there, but he's came across that line. I've just missed it. The gap's now 44 seconds, not 46, so Arruda's made a small dent. And now he's overtaken Giovinazzo, so will that open the door as Sharp goes to start his 38th lap off the race, and he's still yet to pit. He's got 5 more minutes. He's coming to the back of a blue flagged car. That is De Jong just ahead as Gearman's finally pitted. From that position and released De Jong, as Giovinazzo's also now lost out to that BMW again, as he's trying his best to unlap himself, but Giovinazzo's tyres are screaming in agony. They will be so overcooked just now. The length of time he's had that rubber on, it'll be like a cheap steak at a very, very, very bad steak restaurant. This is the battle for P12. McConnell and Van der Waal still fighting hard. I keep starting the stopwatch and forgetting it's on, so Giovinazzo is now down to P4. Arruda up into the podium position. Maximum use of the curbs by Sharp. Maybe not the wisest thing to do in the rain. Rain will continue to fall for the next 10 minutes, and we have 9 minutes remaining, so it's unlikely to dry out at all, but we will get a drying track ever so slightly towards the end of the race. And will it be this lap that Sharp decides he will pit, or will he chance one more lap, go as late as possible into this race for his final stop? Or will he not risk losing time to the blue flagged traffic? He is going in now, so this is the important moment. We're not going to go back and check the time off Arruda. The stopwatch is still on. Arruda's got a car just in front. That's some lapping traffic there. The gap, I do still have the stopwatch on, and it is as he crosses this line now. The gap is 41 seconds. So Handley, depending on what he does and what Sharp does. Oh, this is so tense. I don't know what to do here. I don't know what to watch. Arruda's got past the lapping traffic, so he's not been held up into the casino triangle. It's so tense. Sharp has got moving in the pits. Arruda comes round the final corner. Sharp at the far end of the pit lanes, rejoining the track. Sharp has rejoined ahead of Arruda. We have got 7 minutes and 38 seconds of Sharp, and maybe even Handley. So Handley was close thereabouts as well. He was 7 or 8 seconds, I think it was, the gap. So Sharp comes out ahead of Arruda. Arruda has been the fastest man on circuit, but an absolute blinder of a strategy call by Johnny Sharp has got him out ahead and in the best position possible to make himself a winner at Taco Tuesday Tier 2, but let's not count all those chickens before they're hatched. Let's get all the eggs and ducks lined up in a row and not ignore the elephant in the room and any other random office terrible mannerisms that can get into commentary in one sentence, and see if Sharp can just put his head down the gap. There we see them, they're in the same straight. Arruda's heart will have sunk seeing Sharp come out of the pits in his Ferrari. But the question is, has Sharp got enough in the tank for the final 6 minutes and 27 seconds? The gap is 5.3 seconds. Glinken is on the back of Serpentine for P7 as well. Glinken, 0.3 of a second separate him from that P7. Really has been fantastic to watch Glinken and Serpentine rise through the ranks in Formula Racing League. Both of them were in the Am and Pro-Am categories for a couple of seasons. But breakout season for Serpentine at the end of 2024, and Glinken the following season, the first season in 2025, propelling them both up into this tier. And both of them do not look out of place at all. But now they get to battle each other once again for position on track. In the dying moments of this race, as Glinken goes deep into the hairpin, he's going to get a fantastic exit out of there as well. And they're of course bringing Dunn back into the equation. De Jong, who had a drive through on lap 1, has shown fantastic pace to get himself back into the top 10 as well. Again, it's not over until it's over, but it's always best to call out the great stuff when we see it, making everyone here feel invincible.
The window is now closed.
And the pit window slams shut on anyone who has yet to make their final stop. They all have now completed their 2 mandatory stops. Some drivers have done 3. Check myself, one of them in the Audi, qualified P4. He will be heartbroken with his strategy call at the end of qualifying for the race. The gap up top now 4.7 seconds. Aruta's taken a second out of Sharp in 1 lap. Hanley has made his pit stop. He's came out 7 behind. He's opted for the tyres, for the fresh rubber, to give himself the best chance to catch those guys up as well. That gap is 7 seconds. Jobino out there, he's got 4.2 to Keller. Keller's been quick this evening. Both drivers driving the Lamborghini as Keller gets a full-on 4-wheel drift going round into the Dunlop curve. This is the closest battle we have on track just now. Glinken, Dunn and Serpentine just ahead. This is the battle for 7th place. McConnell as well on the back of Van der Waal. I think Van der Waal's just got around him now. Bad evenings for Simcox, Wheats, Pignatelli and Smets at the back. But they've kept going as well, and they'll collect their championship points this evening. Points paid down all the way to 40th place, so even if you finish 25th, you're going to score 14 points for your championship. Definitely worth hanging around for. The gap now at front, 3.5 seconds. That's another second taken out of Sharp's lead. Aruda is absolutely gunning it, his foot to the floor, leaving absolutely nothing on the table. Taking risks, but are these risks justified? This is a showdown for the ages. Neither driver blinking. Sharp committed to his strategy early on as Serpentines ran deep into the chicane, and that might open up the door for the Ferrari and even the Aston Martin, which we know is so quick in a straight line. Marco Lino's been moved from the server. No, he's not. He's in P6. Lino's had a fantastic race this evening as well. But here we go. Glinken pulls out to the inside on this damp circuit here at Suzuka, and it's not enough. Turn 2 is not enough. Serpentine's going to come out ahead, and he's going to have one more opportunity. Is Glinken to make that move, and Dunn's just sitting there in the background. The gap at front now 2.4 seconds. Another second being taken out of the lead of Sharp, and it is going to go down to the wire. It's now Glinken losing the back end round Dunlop curve, and that's going to open the door for Dunn. It's not usually an overtaking move into Degner 1 or Degner 2. It can be done, but you really are throwing a risky one up the inside. But as risky as my recent... Nope, I can't use that one. I can't use that joke on stream. Dunn looks to take the wide line. He's going to open up the exit for himself. Final lap off the race now. The gap at front, 2 seconds. We're going to be within the same shot at the front. But Glinken now struggling. Dunn throwing all kinds of shapes in his mirrors to try and put him off. They go defensive, and Dunn has to brake early so he doesn't run into the back of Glinken. But now Glinken's went defensive into the second part of Spoon, but Dunn cannot get the car turned in. He's not going to have the traction, and he's going to get a little bit of respite to focus back on Reinhard Serpentine in front. But this is the gap now for the lead. This is Aruda. He's 1.7 behind Sharp. The track now beginning to dry back out. It's still raining. It's not going to dry out before the end. This is the final lap of the race. We've got a car moving very slowly just ahead. That gap's now less than 1.5. It's not over yet. Serpentine still struggling coming round the final corner. That battle is going to go to the wire as well. But Sharp's now moved out ahead slightly. He's got a little bit of an advantage. Glinken pulls to the inside. Does he think about slinging it down the inside? He doesn't. He backs out one more time. And that is one of the final corners that Serpentine has to defend from. Aruda pushing it to the absolute limit. This is the battle for the lead. We're in the final embers of round 4 here at Taco Tuesday. Formula Racing League really is giving us sim racing at its absolute best, and these two, no matter what happens into the final corner, have every right to feel absolutely invincible after their actions this evening. It's been a fantastic drive from Aruda, but a tremendous tragedy call by Johnny Sharp to go as late as possible in the race and cross the line. Need to be careful, that's not the start finish line. That's the finish line, and Sharp wins with Aruda in P2. Hanley's going to come home clearly in third, a couple of seconds behind us. Serpentine gets out of shape, coming out of the hairpin. Hanley finishes 10 seconds off the pace, and Gerbino's going to finish a couple of seconds ahead of Keller if things continue as they stand. But we're going to stick with this battle just now because these three are pushing it to the absolute limit, and it's a fantastic drive through Spoon 1 from Dunn, but it's, again he's lacking the front end to get the car turned in, and that's going to allow Serpentine and Glinken to just drive away. Gerbino's going to finish just ahead of Keller. Again, these two very close on circuit. Serpentine's got a bit of breathing room now, but Dunn is not letting Glinken off the hook. Dunn throws it down the inside into the final chicane. He backs out of any potential move, but Gerbino crosses the line in fourth with Keller just behind. Great drive from Lino, but Lino's made an error, as has Glinken, as they come across the line. Who's going to take the checkered flag? I can't watch. Glinken just pips Dunn by 19 milliseconds. Absolutely incredible stuff after 90 minutes of hard charging action. David De Jong, with the unused 3-stop strategy this evening, manages to finish himself in P10. What could have been for the Dutchman. Here comes Chumakov's now. A great performance from the Lamborghini driver. Strong all through the race. Van der Waal charging from the back to take P11. Kalugan as well, great drive from him through the field in 13th, and Richards, who we've seen recover from a massive 90-degree drift through Degner 1, is going to be last across the line. Lucky for some, unlucky for others in P14. My apologies, got that one completely wrong. So I finally got the opportunity to catch my breath after 90 minutes of one of the most exhilarating races I have ever managed to feast my eyes on, not only in Formula Racing League but in Assetto Corsa Competizione in general. It has been a fantastic drive from Johnny Sharp, who has taken the win here in Silver Tier. Aruda finishes in P2 with the fastest lap of the race. That does not tell the story though, we'll come back to that in a second. Jake Handley finishes in the final podium position. Serafino Gerbino held on as long as he could. Gerbino's Lamborghini finishing fourth with Keller's Lamborghini in fifth. Lino, a fantastic drive from the Italian, finishing sixth place from him and his Ferrari. Serpentine strong, finally in this season. Good finish for the South African. Glinken finishes in P8. Dunn in P9, and David De Jong rounding out the top 10. Dunn finishing only 19 milliseconds behind Glinken. Chomakov's in P11. Van der Waal, great drive from the back of the grid in P12. Kalugan again, similar performance from into P13. Last driver on the lead lap was Richards in 14th. McConnell in the wars this evening. Great drive to recover to 15th. Kotov 16th. Dmitriev in the gentleman's Bentley P17. 18th Chekmasov. 19th German. Hasgo is in 20th. Smets, Pignatelli and Wheats all will be classified. Simcox did not finish 6 laps down, and Van der Sloot will not be classified, along with Lucking and Manavola and Kourmakalakis. That is the 28 drivers who are in the server this evening. Congratulations to Johnny Sharp, whose strategy this evening played a blinder. Aruda pulled out a 20-second gap at the end of the first stint. Then the rain came. Aruda tried to do his 2 stops together, while Sharp done 1 stop onto the wets, allowing him to do a splash and dash for the final few minutes of the race. Meaning he came out the pit 7 seconds ahead of Aruda. He was able to hold on for his 6.5 seconds to take the win this evening. Thrilling to watch. I'm sure it was thrilling to be a part of. Both drivers dancing on the edge of disaster, using every inch of those wet curbs. Let's not talk down Handley too much, finishing in 3rd place. Great performance from Handley this evening. Driver of the day has to go to Sharp for that amazing strategy call. Absolutely incredible, taking his win the season. 90 minutes of racing coming down to just 1 second. Fantastic stuff. Notable honours to Aruda for his outright pace this evening. De Jong recovering from a drive-through, and Van der Waal not only for coming from the back of the grid, but being an absolute gentleman of a driver and letting McConnell back through after making the slightest of touches. Absolute gentleman. Great to see here in Formula Racing League that drivers have that level of sportsmanship. Shout out as well to Chekmasov in the Audi. Managed to qualify P4, but unfortunately a bad strategy call just before the formation lap meant he had to pit on lap 1. A great recovery drive to come back to P18 from that one. So that's the end of the stream. We spoke earlier on regarding the off-season events that will be released to SimGrid. That will be very shortly. Remember, we've got the multi-class challenge on Sunday the 20th of July. That starts 8 PM UK time. That will be a multi-class race between GT4's Porsche Cup cars and the BMW M2 around the circuit of the Americas. Same format as this evening. 90 minutes, 2 fuel stops. You're going to want to take part of that one. The FRL Sprint Tackle Tuesday as well on the 22nd of July, featuring one-shot qualifying round Silverstone, a 20-minute race and a 40-minute race decided by the reverse grid order of race 1. Only difference is race 2 will have 1 mandatory stop for fuel on that one. So interesting, exciting format. The Tuesdays and the Sundays swapping formats for the off-season. And then on the 29th of July we'll have a 60-minute race around the Nordschleife circuit. Open strategy, the ultimate challenge. You make the choice if and when you want to pit around the hardest circuit in the world. And now sign-ups for those events have been available for Formula Racing League's Patreons for the last couple of days. That is a Patreon benefit of supporting the Formula Racing League. You will get access to early access to sign up for all these events. You will be able to reserve your place when there's limited numbers. You will be able to reserve your race number for these events. Very personal thing, race number on your car. And of course, you will have your live stream shown to all of Formula Racing League's Discord members, all 4,000 odd of them, every time you go live. And that all starts at £3 per month plus tax. Now those events, however, are now going to go live to everyone on SimGrid very, very shortly. So we're going to do a quick countdown for that one. We're not going to actually do the countdown, but I do need to go and physically unlock these just now. So they're going to go live as soon as the stream ends. So if you do want to take part, go to thesimgrid.com, get yourself signed up for those off-season events, and remember, Patreon supporters will have first access to Season 19 when it's released as well. So that's it from myself this evening. Amazing race. Congratulations to Sharp, Aruda and Handley for their podiums this evening. Fantastic drives all around. Do catch us next week as well, when we will go back and watch Tier 3 at the festival. It's not called the festival, it's called the Temple of Speed, as we go to Monza. Until next week, everyone, take care of yourself and stay invincible. Good night.